Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy. Oh, whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
Cowabunga and chimichangas, everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Overcast, where we are going to review... What's the name of that movie, Nick?
Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes. And as always, I am your host, Justin, aka Oversoul.
And I am your co-host, as always, Nick, aka The Vaping Fiend.
Right, and we're bringing you movie reviews on any day, and on this day, as he already said, Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3, and as always, we're going to start off with a bit of a spoiler-free discussion first, and then we will give you our rating, and then shimmy on over into them spoileritos.
Yes.
So, I know that you said you would struggle with having spoiler-free things to say about this one, so I'll just kick it off by saying that, you told me before we started that this is everything you hoped it would be, right?
Yeah, everything I hoped it would be, and then some.
So, I have to be honest, much like with... And nobody take this the wrong way, because I absolutely love both of these movies that I'm about to mention here. But, much like with Spider-Man No Way Home, I walked away feeling just the tiniest bit, like there was a piece of the puzzle missing for me.
Oh?
I felt maybe like just a little more would have pushed it right up to the expectations I had. And perhaps the thing is, because of all the hype leading up to it, I went into this with enormously high expectations, but not exactly for the reason that you think. I think this is where we'll mostly differ, because you came into this movie as a fan of the Deadpool movies, which I am doing as well, but I'm coming into this as a fan of the Deadpool movies and a continuing fan and loyal viewer of the ongoing MCU.
Fair enough.
So there were some things here that I was expecting that didn't happen that kind of left me a tiny bit disappointed in certain ways.
Got it.
But
okay.
not so much that I didn't like the movie. I thought it was a jolly experience overall. I had a lot of fun. I do feel, though, I do feel a little bit, though, that I could kind of tell, and I'm glad that Disney basically gave them free reign to be themselves here, and Kevin Feige was cool with that, even though he said no cocaine. That's a real thing, by the way. That wasn't just a joke they threw in the movie. That's real. I mean, you could come to expect that because most of the jokes in the movie are meta. They're very fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
In this one, like extremely, like at one time it breaks the fourth wall so hard that it actually breaks a camera. So, yeah. So, I could kind of feel, and I don't know if you felt it too or not a little bit, but this, compared to the first two movies, this one felt a little subdued. I could kind of feel them holding back just a tiny bit, even though they said fuck 118 times. There's just something I feel maybe, and I could be, I don't know, maybe I'm just desensitized to it all now from all the horror and shit I watch and play, and that's why, but this one felt like it wasn't nearly as violent as the first
I think
two
it
were.
was the most violent. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah, but do you remember that scene in the second movie when Juggernaut, like, literally rips Deadpool in half and then he has to grow his legs back later?
Yes.
Like, I think I was expecting something a little more on that level. I don't know. I don't know what. I was expecting a little more viscera, and it definitely felt like there was...
Dude, the violence and gore in this one was...
The best way to put it is...
Dude.
No, it was still surprisingly up there for... And I'm not surprised because I've seen Moon Knight, so I know that they let them get away with this now. But at the same time, I could still kind of feel Disney's presence there a little bit. And not... that's not normally a bad thing for me, but for this movie, I think it was to its detriment, kind of. Although it did make for some good jokes.
Yeah, see, to me, if it weren't for the fact that Ryan Reynolds was constantly breaking the fourth wall, saying like, oh, pegging's not new to me, friendo, but it is to Disney. The fuck?
Yeah.
That's not spoilery, because that was in the very first trailer.
Yeah, no, if it's in the trailer, it's fine. But are you saying that if you didn't keep getting these constant reminders, you would have forgot this was a Disney-owned movie?
I absolutely would have.
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of the trailer, a highly misleading trailer.
Yes.
And I think that leads to one of my other few tiny problems with this movie. 80% of this movie takes place in the void from Loki, and that led to a lot of great stuff that we'll talk about in the spoilers, and some very interesting cameos and shit.
Yes.
But it's also such a boring, barren wasteland. It's one of those. This is one of those movies. It had the same problem Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness did, where it promised to be this big multiversal thing, and then you just get like maybe 4 or 5 seconds of different universes, and then most of the movie takes place in this barren wasteland. It's a little. I don't know. When you tease the multiverse, you got to do it right, and so far this movie is right, because they say it themselves with balls in this movie. So far, this multiverse shit has not been working for Marvel. But it's not because there's no potential there. It's because they keep dropping the ball on the potential with it.
Yeah, no,
you know. Granted, I don't think you've seen Doctor Strange 2 yet, but if you did, you would probably agree that they do go to other universes in that movie, and it's great, and Wanda is great as a villain in that movie, and it's directed by Sam Raimi, and it's like a horror movie version of a superhero movie, and you'd absolutely love it for that reason alone. But the way they tease the multiverse and that shit really doesn't pay off the way you think it's gonna.
Fair.
And I feel like the same thing happened here. I feel like this is, I don't know, anyone who's seen season 1 of Loki understands what the Void is. It's where the TVA, who plays a big role in this movie, they're guardians of the timeline, all the timelines, because Marvel's a big multiverse now, and the main MCU is considered the sacred timeline, and we'll talk more about that later, because, but that's the sacred timeline where all the main stories took place that we know, like Avengers and Iron Man and Thor and all that. But all these other timelines from all these other Marvel properties and stuff, when things get out of hand, they go in and they prune them. And when something gets pruned, it gets sent to the void to be swallowed by this giant smoke monster called Azeroth. And that plays a big role in this movie. But I think it plays too big of a role in this movie. I wish they wouldn't have spent so much time there. I mean, I do like that ties it into the MCU, but they found the most boring possible way to tie this movie into the MCU, I think. The TVA makes sense because of all the time shenanigans. That's fine. But like
they could have done more with it.
I think maybe I was also kind of hoping for, like, more locations and more familiar faces. That's how they advertised the movie originally. That's why I said the trailers are misleading, because they made you think this was going to be Deadpool's introduction into the MCU and the start of that story. But it really isn't. This is more of a send-off to the Fox universe than it is the beginning of anything else. And it took me about halfway through the movie to realize that. And that's when it clicked and I was able to start being more like, oh, okay, well, if I look at it from that logic, that makes this a lot better, you know? But obviously, for spoiler reasons, that, you know, they didn't want to give that part away too early, so I get it. But it's also like, I guess it's just one of those things they advertised it as, like, oh, this, because Kevin Feige came out and he was like, this is going to be a huge turning point for the MCU. This movie is going to change things moving forward. And it really didn't. It just kind of, they did their own thing and then pissed back off to their own universe, and that was the end of it. You know, like, it didn't really have any, like, major ramifications for the overall MCU as far as I could tell. And the only thing I can think of is that they're going to bring Deadpool and Wolverine into Secret Wars, and we talked about that.
Yes, we did.
And that would be nice, and that's when the whole multiverse thing will actually start to really matter. But
yeah.
As of right now, they just use the multiverse as a gimmick to get cameos in, and then like this, everything went back to the status quo at the end. Nothing actually changed.
Yeah.
So, but I did love the movie overall. There's absolute positives. Without spoilers, I will say one of the biggest positives for me, like something that like had me excited for the rest of the movie right out the gate, is that the opening credits in this movie is one of the best opening credits I've ever seen in any movie.
Oh my god, yes it was. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to get into details here, but just like the boldness, the humor, the action, the choreography. There we go. That's the word. The choreography. Ryan Reynolds did all those dance moves himself. It wasn't like a stunt double.
That was not Ryan Reynolds.
Was it not? I thought it was him.
No, it was not Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds cannot dance.
Oh,
not like that.
Okay.
I think they actually got somebody from maybe somebody that worked with NSYNC.
Yeah, fun fact about him getting that particular song in there, by the way, is that in and of itself is a meta joke having to do with the fact that there was a Celine Dion song in the last movie, and he did a music video, Deadpool did, with her, and in the music video that he did with Celine Dion, he said something about, like, this isn't going to work, I'm going to have to get NSYNC next time, or something like that. And there you go, That's
funny.
Yeah, so that's let's just put it, at this point, Ryan Reynolds doesn't play Deadpool, he is Deadpool.
He fucking is Deadpool.
There's no other way to look at it because of the whole fourth wall breaking thing. It's like it's like the Muppets. You just kind of have to accept that they're quote unquote real,
And
they
there's
exist.
something spoilery in it's that I can't say it until we're in the second half, but there will be something that will basically solidify that statement, the fact that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Exactly, and yeah, so we just have to accept the fact that the reality we live in has the real life Deadpool doing music videos with Celine Dion the same way it's got, I don't know, Kermit the Frog smoking a joint with Snoop Dogg. That's just how it is. Like, they're quote unquote real.
Yep.
So, yes, gotta love the metaverse.
Yes.
So, let's talk a bit about, obviously Ryan Reynolds hasn't lost it yet, and most of his jokes and best lines in this movie are definitely in the spoiler section, but let's talk about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in this movie. The man still got it.
Yes,
absolutely.
He does.
There can be no other. It is only, although we did see a potential glimpse at another, and we'll talk about that in the spoilers too. A little bit of a wink and nod to a competitor down the street, but
yes.
But Hugh Jackman in this movie absolutely nailing it. And here's the thing: there's a lot of parts in this movie. I think the one that stands out to me the most is that speech he gives in the car, right before they have that erotic fight scene.
Bro,
it was definitely that. I'm gonna lean on spoilers the way that Nice Pool leans on the fourth wall here, and I'm gonna say that car scene was intended to look like a sensual, like what would be like a sex scene in a teen comedy or romance movie, you know, but with them stabbing each other instead. The angles that it's filmed at, the way the car is rocking from the outside, like, I'm genuinely surprised. I half expected them to go full cliche at one point, and I was expecting one of like Deadpool's hand to come up covered in blood on smack on the window and slide down. You know, that would have just absolutely sold it.
It sure would have.
I'm surprised they didn't. Like, that's 100%. Like, what? I bet you it's a deleted scene. I would put money on it.
Yeah,
like, you
I
know,
mean, I'll be getting I definitely want to get a physical copy of this for that very reason.
Right, deleted scenes, behind the scenes, DVD commentary with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Right before that scene in the car, there's this speech that he gives, this very angry speech, and it is so good. Like, so, like, Oscar worthy, and that's not. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yo, my guy, you didn't have to go that hard in this movie, but you did. Like, you didn't have to bring it like that, but you fucking brought it. This man is giving 150% here.
Absolutely.
Like, no questions asked. Like he made Deadpool shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
yeah.
And that is just, oh god, that acting is phenomenal. Hugh Jackman is so good in everything he's in, and I can't believe that. Like, this is he plays it so straight. He's the straight man to Deadpool's goof, like, nonsense. You know, and
yeah.
That's what makes it work, is this yin and yang juxtaposition between the two of them. They really are ketchup and mustard, aren't they?
His crazy matches his crazy.
Yeah, well, Deadpool's psychotic crazy, like Joker-esque crazy, matches Wolverine's stoic Batman crazy. Is
that
what I would say. They really are a Batman and Joker type couple, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And that is... Yeah, all I can really say about that is, god damn, Hugh Jackman, you really didn't have to go this hard in this goofy-ass movie, but you did. It's not that serious, but damn, you fucking brought it. Seriously.
Yeah,
like,
he fucking did.
I was beyond impressed at that. Like, I was just, like, in this silly-ass movie about breaking the fourth wall and all that, and, man, he brought a performance that, like, moved me at times. Just some of the stuff he says, just the emotion that he puts into it. It was insane. I guess it's not a spoiler to say this since it was in one of the trailers, but X-23 from Logan is back in this, and she did a great job as well.
Yeah,
in this
did.
movie.
I admittedly have not finished watching Logan, and so that there was parts of, well, I'll continue that statement before in the spoilers.
You know how it ends now, don't you?
I sure do. I sure do.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a point here where a TVA agent literally explains what happened in that movie.
Yes. So, I'm still going to go back and watch it, because I actually want to see it.
Yeah. But there is, this movie is definitely a wrap-up for the Fox universe, more than it is anything else. It's still an MCU movie, which I find highly interesting, but only in the sense of, like, one cameo and then the TVA playing a major role. But I feel like the TVA, since they exist outside of time and space, are going to get their fingers involved in everything now. So yeah, that's probably. Just kind of... That's where we're at, and I for more context on the TVA, watch Loki. That's all I can tell people.
Yeah.
Just seriously watch. You know what? Fucking watch Loki anyways, because A, Norse mythology, B, multiverse shenanigans. You actually do see multiple universes in this show. C, a female Loki named Sylvie is a character in this show. D, Owen Wilson is in this show. Yes, and he's fucking great. And on top of all that, it's just really well done. The whole show. Tom Hiddleston is in the whole thing, absolutely the entire thing.
Nice.
And in Jonathan Major's last major MCU role before he got canned, he plays a character named Victor Timely in season 2 and does really good.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's you know, you love the character Loki, you love the Thor movies, you'll love the show Loki. That's all.
Fair
you
enough.
know. It plays off of the part in Endgame where they went back in time and fucked everything up. So, when Loki got away with the Tesseract, it creates an alternate reality.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that's where the show picks up. It's really cool, but they name drop Loki in this movie because they talk about Azeroth and they're in the void for a good part of the movie. Like I said, I love the fact, and this is in the trailer too. I love the fact that the 20th Century Fox logo is in the void.
Mm-hmm.
That's oh man, that's really sticking it to him.
Yeah, it is.
I'll just say Ryan Reynolds got really ballsy with telling Fox to go shove it out their ass in this movie.
Yeah, he did.
Very ballsy. Because he's rolling in Disney money now, and he really wanted them to know the vitriol that he held for them. I will admit, though, the movie itself is very self-aware of the fact that the MCU is kind of at a low point right now. They take a lot of jabs at that, and
the fact that
Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool calling himself Marvel Jesus in hopes that he's going to save everything is really... I think he had the same hopes as the audience going into this that were also then, subverted in the same way, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's...
heavily used.
Go ahead.
That was used heavily in this movie, like Marvel Jesus. I am the Messiah.
Now that I'm looking,
I am.
Now
Marvel
that I'm looking,
Jesus.
Now that I'm looking at it that way, I'm starting to think that the subversion might have been intentional. Now that I think about it, maybe they wanted to overhype your expectations on purpose just so they could pull the rug out from under you. That sounds like a very Deadpool thing to do.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, and I think there's no other scene that actually visually represents this better than our first real cameo that we get that we talk about in the spoilers.
Yes.
Because that one is also expectation subversion, hardcore. So, and intentionally done that way too.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, yeah. I don't know if what else. Only other thing I can think is not a whole lot of the cast of characters from the previous movies in this one. It really is about Deadpool and Wolverine, as it says. You see all of Deadpool's friends from movies 1 and 2 in his apartment. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the whole movie for 5 seconds each. It was a little disappointing. Colossus and Negasonic and all them, they need a little more screen time than that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got a lot of Blind Al, though. Blind Al was great. We knew about Dogpool ahead of time, too, so I'll mention Dogpool. Fantastic.
Mary
also,
Poppins.
The ugliest dog ever created. I swear to God.
Ugly?
But
no. That dog is cute.
That dog... No, officially, okay, that's a real dog. She lives in Britain. I forgot what her name is, but she legitimately won a contest out there for being British. She's labeled British's ugliest dog, or Britain's ugliest dog. The ugliest dog in the UK.
Jeez.
Is the actual title that she holds.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought they did it on purpose. I'm I know they got that thing it looks like someone glued cotton balls on a rat. It's I feel like they did it on purpose to be funny. It's got big bug-eyed googly eyes that stick 40 feet out of its head. It's got that 17-foot long tongue hanging out. It's a mutant. It's a mutant, just like the X-Men. Oh, that's fucking great.
Peggy the dog
man.
plays Dogpool.
Yep. Peggy, that's her name.
Peggy
Peggy.
the dog.
Peggy. Yeah. Oh, that thing is horrifying.
She's cute.
Uh. Oh man. Oh, that's wonderful. It's crazy to think though that she actually has that as an official title. Oh my god. There's no way that there's no way that Ryan Reynolds didn't do that on purpose. He isn't like, I'm gonna find what's the world's ugliest dog. Oh, they actually have a title for it. Yeah, let me use that one. Like, there's that's totally a him thing to do.
Yeah, sure the fuck is.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all I can really think of, that I wanted to say in the spoiler-free section. So, yeah, let's give those ratings, and then...
Slap a rating on it. I'm gonna give this, after some thinking about it, I think I'm gonna drop it down to a 9.5.
9.5 for you?
You made a really good point about it, like, the most of the movie taking place in the void, so that's
yeah. And I guess whether or not that bothers people is going to depend on who the person is, and it leads to some great stuff we'll talk about soon. But yeah, because I remember when you messaged me after you saw it, you said it was either a 9.5 or a 10 for you, so that makes sense to me.
9.5.
When I first saw it, initially it was just an 8 for me, but I bumped it up to an 8.5 after some more thoughts. I think that's okay. I think that's where I'm going to stick for now. I'm not going to go higher than that because 9. No. Yeah, I would say Deadpool 1 and 2 are both either 9s or 9.5s for me. So, and I think the first two are better than this one. So it's an 8.5 for me, but it's still up there. Like, it's still pretty fucking high, I would say.
Yeah.
So, like, that's like a B plus, A minus range. So
yeah.
So no need, yeah. And the first thing we're going to do when we switch over to the spoilers here is I'm actually going to read some thoughts from my good friend and brother-in-law Ryan, a.k.a. Rayquaza, a.k.a. RMK Buried Alive.
And the co-host of Fortress of Nerditude.
Yes, and they will probably be doing their own Spoilercast about this as well, so definitely go check them out, Fortress of Nerditude, to listen to that.
Yes.
But the thoughts that he gave me are definitely very spoilery, so that'll be once we transition over here, that'll be the first thing I do is read his thoughts, and then we can get into our own.
All right.
So, because unfortunately he was unable to join us for this, and I'm sure he would have loved to, but, busy life and all that.
Yes.
So, anywho, this is your final warning, folks. We are now going to transition over into spoiler territory. See you there.
Get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
All right, here we are at the spoilers. Once again, final warning. This is the part where we now, talk about all the spoilers. So I'm actually going to start this off by reading some of the points from Ryan. I think he gave it like an 8.5 overall as well. I think I listened to an episode of Fortress of Nerditude where they talked about it a little bit at the end, but they didn't go into detail. But he initially told me 8, but said on the show after that he thinks he bumps it up to an 8.5 now. So I'm going to start by reading his thoughts here. All right, so he kind of like bullet pointed these. So he said, as the first real Deadpool movie in the MCU, there was no MCU involved. Even when it ended, technically Deadpool saved his timeline and went and stayed there, separate from anything we currently have going on in the MCU. For example, Monica Rambeau is technically in that universe right now as well, so there's still potential for some payoff there. Yeah, that's a reference to the end of The Marvels. But I was a bit let down that they pushed so hard that this was an MCU movie for it to not really matter. That being said, it did set up one of the best parts of the movie, one of the best cameos of the movie, and I'm going to stop right there so we can talk about it. Yes, there is a part in this movie where, because we all expected this to be an MCU movie going in, there's a part where we think we're getting Captain America, and the movie leads you to believe that. It's on purpose, too. And then it subverts your expectations. He comes on, he thinks he's going to say Avengers Assemble or some shit like that, and instead he says Flame On, and it's not Captain America, but it's Johnny Storm.
Fucking Storm.
From Fantastic Four, the original one, who was also played by Chris Evans, so he's reprising his role here as a multiversal doppelganger, or as they call them in Loki, variants.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's when somebody from another universe looks just like you. It's called a variant. So Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom will be a multiversal variant of Tony Stark, I believe.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah. If they're following a certain comic book line, there is a Doctor Doom Iron Man. So,
okay, fucking bet.
So that was one of my favorite reveals, was when it turned out to be Johnny Storm. I thought that was cool. I was immediately like, "Whoa, really?" You know, it caught me way off guard. I did not see that coming. I don't think anyone did, honestly.
No,
like it was just out of nowhere. So out of all the cameos that we got, that one's probably my favorite, if I'm being honest. Unfortunately, he did not last very long, did he?
No, he got his skin ripped off, and bro.
Yeah, he just kind of fell straight into a pile of gloop. He was done.
Dude, oh, yeah. Dude.
Like, stick a fork in that man, he is done.
Yeah.
It was bad. That also caught me off guard when that happened. Because it was so sudden.
That was a lot of gore.
It was just so sudden. Yeah, it was very CGI, though.
Yeah,
let's be honest here.
Cassandra Nova. Dude.
No practical effects. Yeah, I guess we could have talked about her a little bit in the spoiler-free section, but fantastic job with that one, too. She's a scary villain and a creepy villain. And this version of Cassandra Nova killed Patrick Warburton, or killed Charles Xavier in the womb.
Yeah.
The thing she does with her fingers when she gets inside your head...
Oh God! Welcome to the Skull Fucking Club.
Yeah, it's horrifying, isn't it?
It is. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna keep reading what Ryan said real quick. He said the entire rest of the supporting cast from the first two movies was basically non-existent. Negasonic and Colossic had like one line. Yukio had very little interaction, which surprised me considering Wolverine has met a different Yukio, but it never even got brought up in this movie. Blind Al was just a smattering of cocaine jokes, which was kind of funny, though.
Yes.
The "Do you want to build a snowman" one was great. You're like, yes, but I can't. Oh, here's a good one. Peter was showcased multiple times, but it kind of felt forced to me. All the Deadpools wanting to kill Deadpool and then getting distracted to say hi to Peter was funny, but overall I felt like they kind of just kept going, "Hey everyone, look, it's that guy from the second movie that the internet latched onto. Remember how much you like him?" But still didn't give much substance. Yeah, I kind of feel like Peter was kind of like a one-note joke guy. It was funny that like he was the only one of the X-Force that survived in the second movie, being the only one without powers. But then, like, in this movie maybe they might have used him a little too much. A little Peter goes a long way.
Yeah.
But I will say that did that did lead to one of the funniest lines in the movie, if I'm being honest, where all the other Deadpools are obsessed with him, and as they're running away, main Deadpool is like, "Enjoy my Peter." Oh, such stupid Family Guy humor right there. But yeah, let's talk about that too, because we got all these other Deadpools here. Because of the multiversal shenanigans, all these Deadpools come back from the void to fight Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, so before we get into this, there is something that I want to say. I forget what the context was, but I know it was a scene with Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think Wolverine was just being an all-out asshole to Deadpool. He's like, "Why are you being so mean? I'm going to tell Blake." That solidifies the fact that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Fun
Absolutely.
fact, Blake Lively, the wife of Ryan Reynolds, plays Lady Deadpool. Let's look at the casting list, and let's see.
Yeah, there's
Let's
a few Deadpool cameos that have been confirmed. The child one and the baby one were both Ryan Reynolds kids.
Inez Reynolds plays Kidpool, and Olin Reynolds plays Baby Pool.
And the floating head one is a zombie Deadpool from the zombie universe introduced in the show What If, and that one was voiced by Nathan Fillion. The Western Deadpool was voiced by Matthew McConaughey.
Holy shit, yeah, you. Yes, I did pick up on that. I did pick up. He has a very distinctive voice.
I didn't pick up on all of them though, but
what I laughed my ass off on is when the main Deadpool used Nice Pool as a human shield. Like, you'll regenerate, right? Regenerate? And then once he realized he's not going to regenerate, he fucking kept using him as a human shield because, for selfish reasons, he wants dog pool.
Right. One of my favorite jokes in the movie involves Nice Pool, actually, and this is where my pop culture knowledge comes in super handy. There's a bit where Deadpool says to Nice Pool, he calls him like Van Milder or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so that's a reference to National Lampoon's Van Wilder, which was like an early Ryan Reynolds movie.
And then Nice Pool turns around and says, "I can break the fourth wall too. The Proposal."
Yep, which was another Ryan Reynolds movie that he did with Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
And Betty White was in that too.
Yes, she was. That movie was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I can lightly tap the fourth wall too. Watch this. The Proposal." Yes. He's like, "You think that's what I do?" Yeah, that was beautiful. That was absolutely one of my favorite jokes in the whole movie. So for this next point in Ryan's thing, this one's a positive. So we have to talk about the major cameos here and why in my mind this is a Fox Universe send-off more than anything. So this gets super meta, and I can understand why they use the Void from Loki for this, because all these cameos that show up are from canceled Fox franchises, so it's their way of saying that Marvel just kind of dumped these characters into the Void. And
man, okay, I didn't even think about it like that. That makes a lot more sense.
And these characters that come in are Wesley Snipes' Blade, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, from the Ben Affleck Deadpool movie, and Channing Tatum's Gambit, which is actually a fifth wall break because he never played Gambit. The reason they did this is because he was going to play Gambit in a movie that just never got off the ground. They kept trying and it just never went through, and they finally gave him his chance here. Mm-hmm. And he's leaning extra hard into that Cajun accent, which is pretty accurate, but I love how they make jokes about it. And he kind of reminded me of Adam Sandler's Cajun Man from SNL with it. But yeah, and when Wesley Snipes was like, "There'll never be another Blade," Deadpool gives like a knowing look to the camera that I thought was pretty funny. It's also funny when he tells him, "I don't like you," and he says, "You never did." That's a direct reference to the fact that Ryan Reynolds was in the third Blade movie, Blade Trinity, and him and Wesley Snipes famously did not get along on set.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so that's interesting. And I like how they also mention, just as a way to write off that they couldn't get everyone back, but Jennifer Garner mentions that her Daredevil, which would have been Ben Affleck, is dead.
Yep.
So he's been written off.
I will say Jennifer Garner had her own Elektra movie too.
She did. Yeah, you're right. She did. That's right. Yeah, I remember because it had this whole. Was it in her movie or was it in Daredevil where she does this whole training montage in her apartment set to an Evanescence song?
I think that was Elektra.
Okay, that's the part I remember the most from that movie for some reason. Because it's got that song, "Wake Me Up Inside." Yeah, that one.
I think so. I think it was in Elektra.
Right. So this was basically their way of getting these characters all a send-off. And then, of course, we got Johnny Storm. And there were X-Men in this movie, too, because they pulled up on those vehicles, and which was a reference to Mad Max, by the way. And Sabretooth, Toad was there. And also, I'm pretty sure the demon guy that they were fighting was supposed to be Mephisto, which is another deep cut because Mephisto is kind of a big deal in the X-Men universe, I think. But also because in WandaVision, there's a light tap at the multiverse where you remember how in the MCU proper, Scarlet Witch had Quicksilver as a brother and he dies in Ultron?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how Evan Peters plays Quicksilver in the Fox universe?
Yeah.
Okay, so in WandaVision, there's a part where Evan Peters shows up as Quicksilver in that show. And it later turns out to be a trick by a witch trying to trick her, but and he's really just some guy named Ralph Boner. But
okay.
Yeah, but for a minute there, because Wanda's a witch and Agatha Harkness is a witch and she is privy to what's going on here and she's playing tricks on Wanda and Agatha all along is about her. But so he shows up in that, Quicksilver shows up in WandaVision and, I'm actually trying to remember where I was going with this, but something to do with the X-Men cameos. But fuck, I forgot where I was going with it. But yeah, they had
it might be their way of rebooting the X-Men universe.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I had a point and I lost it. I don't know. It kind of sucks. I hate when that happens, but yeah, it had something to do with these X-Men cameos, and there being that Mad Max reference. But yeah, they had Mephisto. That's right. It's Mephisto. Okay, this is why I brought that up. Mephisto. For a long time before WandaVision finished, because they were doing weekly episodes, everyone thought that Evan Peters' Quicksilver was actually Mephisto in disguise, or people thought that Mephisto had a role to play in what was going on here, and he was not involved at all. But because they introduced this book called The Darkhold, which is basically the MCU's version of the Necronomicon, and you see that book come up again in Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. So, yeah, so everyone thought it was Mephisto. Well, I think they put Mephisto in this movie on purpose because of that, as like a wink to, like, here, you fucking Mephisto freaks, here's your Mephisto you've been bitching about and begging for so long. Here he is. You happy now? You know? So that's who the demon guy was that they're fighting during that big fight scene, I think it's Mephisto. So, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was intended to be. I believe. So, anyways, So to go along with the and those cars themselves, like the Mad Max cars they drive up on, most of them are references too. Like the ice cream truck is from Moon Knight. There's the Fantastic Four mobile, like the floating, and there's a few others. I quit. Red Skull's car from Captain America. They were driving that. I noticed. So yeah, so that was pretty cool.
I thought it was funny when Deadpool's like, "This is very Mad Maxy," but that would be IP infringement, wouldn't it?
To Ryan's third point here, he says, "I love that we finally got to see Channing Tatum's Gambit. Gambit has been my favorite X-Men character for forever now, so that was awesome. But just about all of his interactions were based around the premise of, I don't understand what you're saying." Which he said he was a little disappointed that they kind of just made him a joke. They was expecting more. But, I gotta say, I thought his card powers are really cool. I think they showcased that kind of well.
Hell yeah, they did.
To be completely honest, though, if you want a better version of Gambit than this, watch X-Men 97. Trust me. That's a kick-ass Gambit in that show. 100%. He says, there were multiple jokes or references that seemed like they were inserted in to go, hey, we know you people are going to complain about this, so we'll do it for you. Like the multiverse rant that Deadpool went on near the end, where he said it's been overdone and whatnot. Or they didn't have any payoff yet, like the crying Thor thing. Maybe that happens in...
Secret Wars.
That's what he said. That's what he said too. He's like, maybe this is a flash forward to Secret Wars. They just wanted to tease us with it,
Yeah.
But he said it was a little weird that there was no resolution for it in the movie. I was hoping it would be a post-credit thing, honestly. I think, I love the post-credit thing that we got, but I was kind of hoping for the whole Thor thing to be resolved in a post-credit thing. I was hoping that's where they were going to do it,
Right.
But then I'm reminded this is a Deadpool movie, so of course they're going to end on a joke. The post-credit scene in the first Deadpool movie was literally a shot-for-shot parody of the post-credit scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So...
yeah.
So that's...
Which we're still waiting on the sequel for. I'm sure that'll be that'll be another legacy sequel that they make at some point.
Yeah, they call it Ferris Bueller's Day On. Now he's just an old man doing taxes in the office. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a Family Guy joke at one point.
Probably, yeah.
But, okay, so Ryan says, ultimately, I feel this movie felt pretty similar to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I really liked it. There were some awesome cameos that surprised me and got me pumped. But at the end of the day, none of it really felt like it had any real meaning or implications behind the future of the connected universes as a whole, and that kind of let me down personally. There were a ton of things they did right, and some of these may not matter to other people anyway. I don't want it to seem like I'm trashing on the movie by any means. Maybe it'll sit better on a rewatch for me, but right now, it's like an 8, but he's changed it to 8.5 cents. And I feel that the first two movies were a bit better, which that last part I agree with. I don't know if I wholeheartedly agree with everything that he said here. I feel like Gambit actually did get some really cool moments, but for the most part, the complaints that he had were pretty much the same ones I had. But outside of that, the movie did a lot of things right. Yeah, and that is like 100%. A lot of that stuff stands out to me. I love the cameos. I love so many of the jokes. That scene with him and Wolverine in the car I was talking about earlier, when Hugh Jackman is given that performance, and when he pounds his fist on the ceiling and he's like, it's God's fucking joke that you can't die, and the rest of us have to live with it and shit. I was like, God damn, he's really going in on this. Really going in. I was genuinely surprised at how...
That fucking fight scene in the car was fucking amazing.
Right. Oh, so let's speaking of amazing scenes, we can actually talk about the opening credits now. Yes. He digs up Logan's old adamantium skeleton and uses it as weapons against the TVA, chasing him down while dancing to NSYNC. It is
bye.
Absolutely one of the most brilliant opening credit sequences I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh,
I
my
thought
gosh.
It was so good.
At one point, he was, I don't know which bone it was, but it looked like he had made it look like a penis and was doing a slow stroke, and there was some blood that came out the tip. I'm surprised they got away with that.
I didn't even notice that. So, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, I'm surprised too.
That was something that I'm like, wait, what? Wow, they got away with that. All right.
Let me tell you, one of my other favorite fourth wall breaking moments is when he's at the TVA and he finds out that they need him for something, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the MCU." And he's like, "Hold on a second," and he runs up and he grabs the camera and he's like, "Suck it, Fox," and then headbutts the camera and breaks it and goes back like that. I absolutely love that. That was Ryan Reynolds himself letting his frustrations out with Fox. 100%. That's what that was.
Dare I say, was that out of character?
Maybe, but everything for Deadpool is out of character because it's a fourth wall break. You know,
that's fair.
So
that's like true. Okay, yeah.
Literally one of his powers.
Yeah, true.
He does it in the comics too. And that just it works so much better in visual in movie form, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie definitely pulled a Rick and Morty and basically made fun of its own downfalls so that you couldn't, kind of beat you to the punch on it. Mm-hmm. And oh boy, CinemaSins is gonna have a heyday because they fucking love when things do that. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
I can't wait to watch the pitch meeting episode for this.
It's out.
Is
I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but they do something really creative with this one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, we need to talk about there is a part, though, early on in the movie, because this is one of those, the movie starts, halfway through and then takes you back to the beginning and then catches up, things. So, a lot of this started, so apparently Wade Wilson, Deadpool, went to the Sacred Timeline with his little time watch from Deadpool 2, and he talked to Happy Hogan, Spider-Man's babysitter.
Yes.
And Tony's lapdog, and who's also played by Jon Favreau, who's the director of a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
And he also directed The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
He's just he's a big guy at Disney, I think, right now.
Yes.
And so he basically wants to join the Avengers, and he tells him no. And I love how subdued he's trying to be here, because he's he's really serious about this, but because of who he is, he can't help but crack jokes regardless. And I feel that.
I lash out when I get nervous. I'm sorry, it won't happen again.
I feel like I have a tendency to crack jokes at the worst moments too, but laughter is the best medicine, and some of us deal with pain through comedy.
Yep.
It's kind of how it is. That's kind of like the whole point of Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the merc with a mouth, and
I made an educated wish.
Absolutely, he did. Now I gotta say, they definitely resolved the plot of this movie. So there was one spoilery complaint is Cassandra Nova's motivations here make absolutely no sense. In the beginning it does, and after they best her, she actually lets them go with a Doctor Strange portal, by the way. Mm-hmm. The ring that she got is 100%. She got that from a multiversal Doctor Strange.
I just call them a fucking amateur magician.
Yeah, because she's definitely stronger than him. That's for sure.
Yes.
And I guess we're getting a show called Strange Academy where he teaches young sorcerers, so that'll be cool. Basically, your
nice.
Marvel Harry Potter here. So Yeah, so she lets them go and everything seems fine. But then she finds out because you really have two villains here. You have the TVA agent trying to erase the timeline, and then you have Cassandra Nova, too.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes in and becomes a bigger threat than them. What I don't understand is, why does she just want to erase all the timelines? What's her motivation for that? It didn't seem like, because in The Void, she's all about, like, having followers and loyalty and all powerful and all that, but now she just wants to erase everything. It's a huge heel turn that comes out of nowhere and makes no sense, except that we just needed to do this to rush the plot to the end real quick, you know? We needed a third act conflict. Yeah, and it is very funny yet extremely convoluted and cliche how they save the day, where the whole thing is like, well, one of you can, break the connection, but you'll die, and then they fix it by just having both of them do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, this is superhero movie schlock 101. Like, that's what you're doing there. That's such a contrived way to save the day, but whatever, I'll take it because it's Deadpool,
Right.
And, but it was funny, though, because Wolverine's shirt comes off, and, like, the whole movie they were talking about he wasn't going to take it off because he got fat, but then his shirt comes off in that scene, and he's still ripped as hell, and Deadpool's ogling him. Absolutely wild. By the way, that one African-American lady that was, like, the head of the TVA, she's from the show's Loki. You see, she used to just be a regular, like, foot soldier for the TVA and then got promoted after the events of the shows. So, but she's kind of a big deal now. So, yeah. And, yeah, so, but I thought that, before all that weirdness happened, I did think that the stuff before that with the multiple Deadpools was really cool. Yeah. And the stuff with Dogpool and all the cameos, giving them the justice they deserve. The jokes were great. The action was great. This had a lot going for it. By the way, though, apparently they wanted Iron Man to be in that scene with Happy Hogan originally, and Robert Downey Jr. just straight up refused.
Why?
He just said no. And I don't know, but that's I read an article about it, and they were surprised too. They were like, wow, no one has ever said no to Ryan Reynolds. So, and Ryan put out a lot of phone calls for this movie. He called up Chris Evans, and he was like, hey, do you want to be in this? And he's like, yeah. And he said that all that swearing that he did in the post-credit scene, he said, I would only do that for Ryan Reynolds.
That's funny.
Yeah, so a lot of this was just he was putting out phone calls and stuff. I was surprised there was no Patrick Stewart, no Charles Xavier in this.
Dude, but in the fucking, like, little reel that was on during the credits before the post-credit, that was really fucking cool to see all, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff from all the different X-Men movies.
I like how when Cassandra Nova first came out, they thought it was going to be Charles Xavier at first.
Yeah.
A little bit of a tease there. But also, speaking of which, her lair, a dead giant man, which is one of Ant-Man's two things, one of Scott Lang's two things.
I love how Deadpool's like, oh, Paul Rudd finally aged.
yeah. That's a smart joke.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love that one. I don't know how. I think I kind of actually missed that one somehow. Maybe my theater wasn't loud enough. I don't know, but yeah.
So I saw it. We saw it. Sarah and I saw it at a Cinemark XD theater.
Yeah, I just saw it at the one out here. I've taken you two twice before.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. We've had a good experience there both times, so. All right. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about this, and I'm not sure if I do. It was a bit jump aroundy, but
It was all over the place.
I covered, well, not the movie itself. I mean, our talking points, but
yeah, fair.
But
one of my favorite lines. It had me fucking rolling. It was when Deadpool is standing on that bridge talking to Paradox, and this TVA tech is looking up at Deadpool and like ogling him, and he's like, "Look at this guy. He looks all innocent, but he's really fucky." Oh, who are you calling? Your wife? HR? Your wife works in HR?
Yeah, it's a good one. I guess, I probably should mention, when he first goes on the search for a new Wolverine, we do get some multiversal stuff here, and there's references to a lot of different things here. So there's the one where Wolverine's wearing the eye patch, which is a reference to a cover to one of his comics, and he went undercover as a guy named Patch. There's a reference to another X-Men comic cover where he's hung up on the X like it's a cross in that apocalypse situation. There is a reference to Wolverine versus Hulk in this multiverse jump around.
The Henry Cavill Wolverine variant.
Yeah, the Cavalrine.
The Cavalrine, yeah.
And I like how he says, "We'll treat you much better than the guys down the street." Talking about DC.
That was very fourth wall breaking.
Absolutely, because Henry Cavill's Superman. And he's. I was kind of hoping they'd make a we'll trade you for James Gunn joke or something, you know.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Some missed opportunities here. That's okay though. But with the Hulk thing, what I thought was cool is because they don't really show much, but you do see that there is a Hulk there. You know, you see a bit of him, and you know, and Deadpool's so excited about it. He's like, but then he's like, he makes a reference to the first Avengers movie where Loki's like, "I am a god, you feral creature," and then the Hulk just smashes the fuck out of him. Like, he doesn't care. Deadpool does a similar thing when he says to him, he's like, "I am Marvel Jesus, you stupid beast," and then he throws him anyway, you know? So I thought that was a nice little nod. So, let me ask you, Nick, why was Thor crying?
I don't know. I would like to know.
I would love to know.
I would love to know. I think everyone would love to know.
This tweet at Ryan Reynolds. Why Thor cry? You know? Why pretty man sad? It's great. Okay. Favorite joke in the movie?
Favorite joke? Oh man, there's so many.
I definitely think that, I don't know, I think mine might definitely be that whole leaning on the fourth wall proposal joke. That one was pretty smart.
It was.
I also like how Deadpool when he goes across the thing in front of the other Deadpools, they like shred the shit out of him with bullets, but when Wolverine goes across, he's holding the dog and they refuse to shoot because he's holding the dog.
Hold your fire!
Right. I'm like, for some reason, like, a couple times throughout this movie, I was a little worried something was going to happen to the dog. Like, when it was running up to him. Like, when they have that like joyous reunion moment, he's like, "Oh, it's you!" and the dog's running at him. I half expected them to be subversive and like the dog just randomly explodes or some shit halfway up the road. And like I was just, I don't know why, but like that's my dark sense of humor. I was fully expecting some shit like that.
Fair enough.
To happen. And I don't know, it just seems kind of like something they maybe at least probably considered in the writing room. At least considered it. You know? I know they at least thought about it. They at least one fucked up asshole in the writer's room was like, "Hey, what if the dog explodes?" And then everyone just gave him a look and he was like, "Never mind." Like you know, I don't know, man. There are people who wrote the Saw movies. Some of us are fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I expect this is the kind of movie that subverts your expectations, and I just thought that would have been. But
this
you know
movie
what?
was all over the fucking place, and I am here for it.
It's worth saying in that regard that it actually subverted my expectations of subversions. Now they're doing the opposite, because now everything is so subversive that I expect everything to be subversive, and then when it's not, that's the subversion to me.
Yeah.
And these days, you know, like sometimes I think they do that shit on purpose too. Like they set it up to where you think they're gonna do something like that, and then they don't fall through on it, and you're just like, oh, they played this completely straight instead, you know. So yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'm glad the dog didn't die. I'm glad nothing happened to the dog.
Me too.
You know, no entries on doesthedogdie.com for this movie.
No.
Yes, you know, although it does seem very on brand for Ryan Reynolds to eviscerate the corpse of Wolverine and, you know, like rip the skin off Johnny Storm and you know, dismember and explode all these people throughout the movie, but then let the dog live. You know, it's very very on brand for Ryan Reynolds.
Yes,
I love that. So I'll say, I think my favorite part in the entire movie, like the thing that had me the most like, you know, like, oh damn, was probably the Captain America fake out Johnny Storm reveal. That was like, holy shit, okay.
I was excited to see Jennifer Garner returning as Elektra. That really got me excited, and the fact I haven't seen any of the Blade movies. Now I need to go back and watch them because I need to look for that. I need to watch for the on-screen chemistry between Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds.
Fair enough. Because that is probably, I want to say, like the original Marvel trilogy. Like Blade kind of really started it all. Blade, and then there was Blade 2 and then Blade Trinity. It's three movies. But yeah, early 2000s, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s maybe.
Triple H was in one of them.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. I'm surprised. I think they made a Punisher reference, but didn't really like go anywhere with it. It was just like an offhanded reference.
There was yeah.
And there's been like 3 different Punishers, so
yeah.
I think that's what they
didn't they say that there was like 5 different Punishers in this?
Or something like that, yeah. They've seen several come and go. What was it she said, about Wolverine? She said Deadpools are a dime a dozen in the void, but Wolverines are rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she wanted him at first to add to her collection. Yeah, there are a lot of Deadpools in the void. That much is true. Which is absolutely insane when you think about it. But I guess there's a lot of timelines out there where they the TVA said, nope. Nope, not doing this. Sorry. Oh, shit. You know, when you think about it, the TVA in and of itself is just a huge fourth wall break for the entire MCU. So it kind of makes sense that they were the tie-in here, you know? Seriously, watch Loki. I cannot stress this
No,
enough.
dude, I'm going to. Like, after this, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to understand some of the references. Like, I have a feeling, like, once I watch Season 1, Episode 5, I'm going to understand the reference that Deadpool made while they were on their way to Cassandra Nova's lair in that cage.
Yeah, it's just a direct reference to Azeroth itself when they say, "Oh, she'll feed you to Azeroth," and he's like, oh, "From Season 1, Episode 5 of Loki?" Just another fourth wall breaking joke, because that's the episode that Azeroth was introduced in. There's an episode of Loki where the whole episode takes place in the void, and you actually get to see multiversal Loki variants. There's an alligator one, there's an old man one, there's a kid Loki. Yeah. Alligator Loki is a real thing from the comics, and he went up against a frog version of Thor. So
what?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some multiversal shenanigans in Loki too. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, all right. Closing thoughts or anything else you want to say about this movie?
Not that I can think of. No.
Okay. Yeah. They brought it. They brought it, and it was worth the wait. It was really good. I enjoyed it, regardless of all the little nitpicks and stuff. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I definitely need to watch it again. I need to give it a second watch, I think. Just to...
Yeah.
Just now that I know what to expect, I can go into it with a different mindset.
I would say, I bet you sweet ass I'm going to be watching it again when it hits Disney+. But this is one that I will eventually have a physical copy. Because I have a physical copy of the first two movies. It would only make sense to get a physical copy of the third.
Fair enough. And also, speaking of which, it's not hitting Disney Plus yet, but Inside Out 2 will be available for digital rental and purchase on August 20th. And
Disney
I
Plus,
should be able
I think
to,
it said somewhere in September.
I think I could probably get you a good copy. I think I can scrounge that up for you.
All right.
So, but all right then. This will be the end of this Deadpool and Wolverine Spoilercast review. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed it, and also let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comments down below. And or you can send me an email at podcastoversoul@gmail.com.
And you can find me over on Twitter at The Vaping Fiend and TikTok at The Vaping Fiend.
Yeah, I guess I'm also on Twitter at Oversoul53. Sometimes I forget.
That's what I was waiting for.
Fair enough. Alright, well, see you later, everybody. And until next time, remember, suck it, Fox.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you?
How dare you, you insensitive son of a bitch! How was I supposed to know he doesn't regenerate? I'm not a medicine woman. He was so afraid. But he died a hero.
He died for murder, you dumb...